everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Feels Like Love. I am so excited to bring you another great love story to share today. Today, I am going to be talking to Annie Slease and Tom Way all about their love story. Thank you both so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks for having us.
So to first start off, of course, the most important question, which is how did you meet?
All right, well, we met first when I was teaching his kids at middle school, but that's not when we really met. Like, we just knew each other.
Right. And she was directing plays at the middle school, musical plays, and my children wanted to audition for a community theater production that she had just announced that she was going to direct. And they also, the word went out that adults were welcome to audition as well. So I thought, well, maybe I should audition too. So
That's what happened.
I did.
And the backstory on that is that he had loaned us a prop for the show that I had just finished directing. So he and I actually first spoke to each other when he was coming to get that prop back. Mm-hmm. And I was thanking him. Thanks so much, Mr. Way, for letting us use this. And he said, yeah, see you tomorrow. And I remember thinking, tomorrow? I said, tomorrow? And he said, yeah, for the auditions. And I was like, oh, and I asked, are your children auditioning? Yeah, and so am I. And I remember thinking, okay, because I thought, you just loaned me this prop. I really hope you can sing.
Right.
I know I'm going to get the part. That
was another great story. And that was not what happened.
No. I was going to say, did you get the part?
He got a part.
So the play was Willy Wonka.
Okay.
I put down on my resume various things from my past, like in high school, I was a gymnast and I had a little bit of acting experience, and I could sing without embarrassing myself. So, but I really thought I wanted to be the role of Willy Wonka, because in the original movie, Gene Wilder is so wonderful. And I thought that's the role I would love to be, but I put down whatever. But so then I get this phone call.
Right. So we called him back for two roles, for two leads. And then when we made our decision, we each split up the list of people to call. And he was on my list. So I called him and I was like, hi, Tom, this is Annie. I'm announcing the parts of the show. Yeah. You were excited. I could tell. I remember.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah. So we want to welcome you to the cast, and we'd like to offer you the part of Grandpa Joe.
Total silence.
I was like, hello. Now, backstory here. This is a stage production of the musical, which is different than the movie.
Right.
I knew the show because I was directing it. And I also knew what the production called for, which is flying for Grandpa Joe and Charlie. And in order to fly, you have to be really coordinated, and you have to be fit, and you have to really just be able to do that, right? Yeah. And I thought gymnast. But the key is everybody liked him for both parts. And he did great in the audition for both parts. But we really felt like, and I felt like strongly, he was so likable on stage. And the part of Willy Wonka is great, but it doesn't interact with the kids as much as Grandpa Joe does. Grandpa Joe, you have to like throughout the whole show because he's the heart of the show.
Right.
With Charlie. Willy Wonka is a lead, but he doesn't do as much interaction, and you don't necessarily have to like him. You can, but you don't have to. But it was really important to cast the Grandpa Joe part perfectly, and I felt like I did that. Little did I know, years later, he would admit to me, yeah, I wasn't really happy about that casting.
But that was just initially I wasn't happy. I grew to love that role. And it turns out that my future wife was right.
I love when that works out. So how did that develop from coworkers to a spark?
It was long.
Yeah, it was long and unexpected and with twists and turns. But I think we were both in relationships at that time that were probably not good for ourselves.
Yeah.
we were with people who
it wasn't a good match.
it wasn't a good match.
Mhm.
And we had both tried a lot, and I think we both went through some
Mhm.
difficult times and reconnected through, well, we used to have a monthly get
Yeah, it was
together
the monthly
of
bucket shack.
the adults who were in that show would get together once a month just to sort of stay in touch and catch up with each other. And
We called it the Bucket Shack because of Charlie Bucket. So it was like the cast of the show. Yeah.
yeah. And so after, I don't remember exactly how long, it was forever.
Yeah. It was like over the course of a year and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
We got together once on our own to hang out.
Yeah.
And it was just like we had always been together.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny part about it is people go, "Oh, what was what was dating like?" We didn't really date.
We didn't go
Isn't
out
that
on
weird?
dates.
We got to know each other so well with our friends that there were really no reason. There was nothing, like the traditional dating ideas, like you're keeping your distance and you're not going to let people know exactly who you are yet. You don't want to show the dark stuff, Oh, like we knew enough about each other by then.
Annie had already seen me dangling upside down from wires.
True.
And what else is there after that?
Yeah.
There's really, no
Yeah,
mystery
no, I mean,
after that.
Yeah. So
we were very thoughtful and gradual with them.
So if you didn't do like the traditional like dating, first date, all of that, do you remember when you realized you were in love and who said it first?
I think you said it first.
I think I did, yeah. I think on July 29th.
The year later.
More than, yeah.
Yeah, over a year later. Yeah.
July 29th of some year. At least a couple of years before we got married in 2014.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we were not on a date, but we were hanging out, and we went of all places to the mall. Which, of course, that's where, all the young lovers go, right?
I think one of us had to do return something or something. It was really not romantic at all.
Yeah, very practical.
Yeah.
So
we're nothing but practical. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was quite taken with this young lady. So I think I told her first.
I think you did. And I think it startled me a little bit.
But
I kind of think I knew it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was, again, we're not spring chickens, and embarking on something like that is serious. And a lot of the people that knew us in certain ways. And so there was a little caution in that sense, right?
But when we told like the Bucket Shack people, we mentioned
some of whom thought we should date way before we ever did.
You two are perfect for each other.
Yeah, that's right. And we're like,
because she was my director.
Right.
Like do one of those Hollywood things.
Yeah, but no, when we started to tell people, they were like, "Oh, that's perfect."
Yeah.
And the rest is
it was.
Yeah.
What can you each tell me what your favorite thing about your partner is?
Favorite thing. There's so many.
You're gonna have to pick one.
I know. I'll tell you one thing, and it's I'm cheating because it's not exactly the answer to the question, but it's something that really made me realize he was the one. And it's this kind of weird thing that, so we've all been, in situations where we're kind of fighting or having a disagreement or whatever with our partner or whatever. This human, first of all, will do literally anything to not hurt me. But what I found in myself was that under no circumstances did I ever want to hurt him. No matter what was going on, no matter what circumstances were going on that could potentially, I could be angry at him about. Mm-hmm. There was this wash over me of I just can't hurt him. I will not hurt him. And that's when I knew. That's exactly, and I don't know exactly when that happened, but I remember that feeling of oh, I can't hurt him. But to answer your question, I think it's probably because He's this amazing combination of funny, smart, sensitive, and kind, to the point where I'm astounded at the things he does for other people he doesn't know, perfect stranger.
Yeah.
That it's just this weird chemistry that he exists, and I'm not sure that there are any others like him, but I kind of think it's that. I don't know. That's not really an answer, but
no, it's a great answer. That's a wonderful answer.
I'll allow it. Well, for me, so part of my background is I worked in Hollywood and I was a comedy writer. And when you're a comedy writer, sometimes you spend 14 hours a day sitting in a room with 10 or 15 other comedy writers, none of whom have a filter at all. So you're saying anything that pops into your head and there's no judgment. And the only other time I've had that same feeling is when I'm with her. I can, for better or worse, I can say anything, and she knows that it's not coming from a mean place or anything, and not directed at her, but just comments about the news or comments about
anything,
whatever, a bad driver that's up ahead of us or anything, and having that acceptance, that safe place to be, it was new for me. And so
yeah, I would say the other thought I had when you asked me that question was, I knew he was the right person because I feel comfortable being who I am. I'm safe in my own skin, and it was the first time.
I don't ever second guess what I say.
That's amazing.
Except for
I love that.
There. Except for that. There.
You kind of want
to. Can I take that?
Right. We often joke, like, we were kind of picking at each other before we started to record, and he said, "Is this our first fight?" We've made that same joke for years because we've really never had. This might be it.
Okay.
Is this it?
No.
Okay. No, it's not. Okay. Well, because we've both been in situations where people who were in our lives were meant to be we were meant to trust them, and we didn't entirely feel that way. And so, and it was just mismatch. And, I'm not here to berate anyone, but we absolutely understand what that feels like, and we don't want that to happen. He's also been through with me some of adjacently in some way, and then together with me eventually through some of the hardest times of my entire life. I don't think I could have survived them if I didn't have him as part of my life, first as a friend and then eventually as a partner.
I love that. And actually that reminds me, because I got your information before we started, but I haven't put it on with this, which is how long you've been together.
Yeah, well, originally we met in 2010 when I was, I feel like we might have met at some point when I was teaching your other kids, but I don't really know. But needless to say, that day he was returning, or I was returning that prop, was early in 2010. And that's the summer, June was the show, right?
And then a year later.
Yep. But we, like I said, got together with friends and sort of stayed in touch. And that summer, 2010, was the hardest time of my life as a parent. And as I kind of was coming up for air from that and staying close with my friends, one of whom was him, I survived it. And by 2011, I was in not a better place, perhaps slightly better place. And then by that summer, that's when kind of things started happening. So yeah, we've known each other for what, 14 years? Is that? Yeah, a little more than
seems
that.
Like 13.
Oh, is that?
Like
I think I've known him like forever. And then I go, oh wait, no, I didn't know you then.
Yeah, you remember that time we were teenagers and
no.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah.
When you think about your relationship, I know Annie, you like to travel. So have you guys had any memorable travel experience or adventure together?
Yeah,
sure.
I would say Peru, I think.
Yeah, right. Well, we went to the beach once.
No.
We went to Peru.
Mhm.
That was a big trip. Yeah.
It was. Was that
And
2016?
2016. So we've been married a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So we were
Oh, that's
bickering
right.
at that point a lot.
No.
No.
It was just a long time, and it was such a shift in culture, but
Yeah.
it was such an adventure. And I was worried because I'd never been away from my kids that long. I'd never
Much less out of the country in a real way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
I had a
yeah.
conference to go to. So my eldest daughter, Emma, kind of coordinated lots of things for us to do all around Peru. So we took advantage of it, and we stayed extra time beyond the conference and got to go all the places that the wonderful places in Peru.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And meet the people. And my goodness, the people of Peru, every single person we met was so sweet and kind and nice. And they didn't have to be, they were opening a door of a hotel, or they were driving a taxi, or serving a beer, and they were just kind and sweet.
We got lost that one time too.
We wandered somehow through a gate into the, I don't know, presidential compound or something.
And there were all these armed guards, like with clear shields and like AK-47, whatever.
Oh my goodness.
I think we came from the wrong door.
Whoa. And we just ended up in this big row of all these, and we were like, oh boy, this might be our end here.
And from there we wandered the streets through an area of downtown Lima that apparently tourists don't ever go.
Right.
And we found this hole in the wall restaurant and had lunch, and they didn't speak any English or very little, and our Spanish was very shaky. But we had one of the nicest lunches of the trip, I think.
I think that speaks to, I have anxiety. I mean, I live with that, a diagnosed condition, and I really wasn't afraid in those frightful, potentially fearful moments. I felt not completely, because there were moments I was a little scared, but being with him just kind of put me at ease, because I'm not afraid when I'm with him.
I love that. What do you think you would say has been the most rewarding aspect of your relationship journey so far?
Well, I genuinely think what I shared earlier about just overcoming these really big challenges in my personal life. And as I said, I mean, the dark stuff he didn't witness, but as I was beginning to share those dark things that had happened, literally, 2 years later, he was right by my side. And I've been able to really actually switch careers and focus on this brand new career with him 100% behind me. And, he's kind of been behind me with everything too. And like when I was directing shows and before I left teaching, he was my builder, and he built all the sets. So we have always just partnered in everything. So I think that's probably it for me, is like, I just feel like I can do stuff, and I didn't ever have that bravery.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And I think it's similar for me too. For instance, I was a runner in high school and college, and always wanted to get back to running a marathon now and again, but just never had the chance. And I think in my past situations, that wasn't really that piece of me wasn't valued. What I wanted to do wasn't valued, and Annie values the things that I am interested in and would like to do. And she, in fact, encouraged me to run a marathon for my 50th birthday. And and I didn't, but I did it when I was 51. Right?
Yeah.
Right. And by run, I mean survive. But
Boston Marathon.
But I did.
That's a feat.
Not nothing.
I kept training. I did keep training, and a couple years later, I qualified to run in the Boston Marathon. So I got to do that.
Yeah.
And but I don't think that would happen.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Little things like that, being seen for who you are.
We often joke too, and we hear, and you see it on the movies, you hear people talk about, marriage is such hard work. Oh, being in a partnership is such hard work. I feel kind of guilty, and I think you probably do too.
I don't feel
because okay, you don't. But
no guilt.
No guilt. But we literally laugh when we hear that said, because It's not hard.
We laugh to ourselves.
Yeah. Like, oh, we don't laugh at people.
You're not laughing in their faces.
Oh, no, we don't do that.
Because
but
it really
inside,
hasn't been.
And that's where the guilt is. It's like, oh.
Now, there have been days when hard work was involved, just getting through life.
Life, yes.
Things happen, right?
But
not
Not
relationship things,
things.
just surviving each day.
Yeah, that's true.
Off and on has been a challenge. So,
but the idea of marriage is hard. My question would be, is it the right partnership? And I'm not suggesting anyone should go and, decouple. That's not my, but,
right.
But when you're, and this is coming from two people who've been in other relationships, when you're in the right one, and you've also evolved as a human too. I think part of that is each of us has,
what it feels like to be in one that isn't the right one.
That's part of it.
And I think we feel very lucky and very fortunate, just because
very much.
It
seemed to be the normal thing that happens.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I would agree. And I mean, just seeing your relationship is so wonderful in the way you speak to each other. And that quote I recently heard someone say, like, yes, marriage is work, but it's the type of work that makes you want to stay up all night and wake up first thing in the morning and do, like, that's the type of work. And I'm like, that makes more sense.
Actually, I mean, we have complicated lives, so it's not like everything is like, that's not it. Like, we do have to work things out. We do have to, like, coordinate plans and make decisions together. But it's like you said, like you just shared, it's work we're willing to do, and we're never gonna, oh, there's our dog. We're never gonna feel disinterested in it or, bitter about it.
I think for us, life is hard work, and the only way we're getting through it is because we're together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Can you share a funny or quirky habit that either of you have that you adore of the other person?
Adore? That's wow.
How about a stack of notes that you give me? I should have brought it with me. I have a stack of, they're like, I don't know how big, 2 by 3 maybe.
They're pieces of scrap paper. I would take used printer paper and cut it into quarters and use it as scrap paper. And
we had this was pre-COVID, of course, because during COVID we never parted.
I didn't really leave that much. Yeah.
In the years preceding COVID, when he would leave before me,
you woke up.
Yeah, he would have to leave early a lot of days. I would wake up and I would find these notes and I saved them. And every day they were just charming and they were personal, like little like quotes, or they were just little, I mean, no one else viewing this would find them necessarily interesting. And I didn't realize I was doing it, but I was saving them. And one day I realized I have a stack like that.
Oh. Yeah.
And now that COVID is gone and pretty much, we're back to normal lives, he'll do it again. And then I'll continue. And so literally years worth of these notes.
That's awesome. I love that.
Right. And he's very thoughtful. Very thoughtful. I don't know. I'm not quirky though. So you probably can't think of anything about me.
No quirks. No quirks. Well, can I do an embarrassing one?
Yeah.
But I mean, if Annie's favorite thing to do is to sleep.
Oh yeah.
She cannot wait to go to bed and get all tucked in and snuggled in just right, and the dog snuggled up and next to her, and then she'll be out. And somewhere halfway through the night or so, she does two things and does them very well. She holds her breath.
Oh yeah.
On the in breath, she'll hold it and then she'll let it out a little bit at a time, like.
It's actually a kind of sleep apnea. It's very weird.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a non-dangerous, borderline annoying form of sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And the more fun thing is that she'll talk.
Oh.
And she'll have a fully coherent sentence. She'll say, like, I really think that you should put that down from there. So, and I'll ask her, like, all right, I put it down. What else should I do? And she'll go, what? What?
Then it wakes me up.
Because she's still asleep.
Yeah.
So she's not good at having a conversation when she's asleep, but she's really good at
sleeping.
At talking. Oh, and sleeping too.
Not really good at sleeping anymore as I got older, but I do love to sleep. So quirky about me.
Yeah. I love that. Well, you two have been so fabulous to talk to. I can literally see your love and it's wonderful. Because I think I'm currently addicted to K-dramas, and I think a lot of us tell ourselves that it's
Yeah.
delusional and people don't really find love like that. And like you two are a love like that, and I love that.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Before I let you go though, do you have one piece of relationship advice that you would share with anybody watching this?
I think don't be afraid to be yourself. I think one of the key things I've witnessed in friends who are dating and maybe dating after, a divorce or something, and they hadn't been out in the world and they're trying to navigate that again. They often talk about changing themselves or hiding certain things. And I just feel like that's setting yourself up for disappointment, because when you find the right person, first of all, we weren't looking for sure. And you'll find the right person when you're doing something you love, because we both were loving what we were doing and we happened to find each other that way. But also when you can be yourself and you're not afraid of being yourself, it's so freeing. So I would say, don't be afraid of being yourself, because when you find the right person, they're going to like you for that.
Yeah. Love that.
What about you? Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I would say, don't ever, don't ever say never. Don't hesitate to be the first to apologize, because winning is losing. And stand up for yourself for sure, but it's much better to risk apologizing to someone who you didn't really hurt their feelings than it is to not, just because you want to win some argument, some moment. So apologize, and I'm sorry if I said that in the wrong way.
Thank you for apologizing.
You're welcome.
No, that was great. Again, thank you both so much. I'm so happy to speak with you and to be able to share your love story, and for you to have your love story to share with others. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.